Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to start this lesson off by giving all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honors to our brothers who are still fervently preaching the word in sincerity and in faith. Shalom to all the sincere Akwath, which are the sincere sisters. And Shalom to the scattered Israelites who are amongst these heathen nations and look like these heathen nations. Now, this lesson is going to be based on the fact that we are living in the last days and that perilous times are increasing as a result. So through the Spirit, I'm going to get a few precepts and Adawan Ratazah, you're edified. 2 Timothy 3:1, this know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. And I have the definition of perilous here. It says perilous means full of grave risk, extremely dangerous or hazardous. It describes situations, journeys, or conditions that are highly unsafe and threaten harm, often used in literary or formal context. Yeah, and you take a look at the things that are happening all over the world. The fires, the storms, the tempests, the earthquakes, the power outages. You have places where people are basically being starved out. I believe like in Cuba. They're constantly losing power, constantly experiencing major power outages. Those people out there are really going through it. You have in the Midwest and South here in the U.S., they're getting hit with a lot of storms and tempests, a lot of rain, a lot of hail, a lot of tornadoes. You have the war that's happening with Iran and the global economic effects that that's having. The increase in oil prices, which is putting a major strain on all of these different economies, the U.S. economy, the Iranian economy, and the rest of the world. People barely get paid enough as it is to keep a roof over their head, clothes on their back, and to be able to buy groceries. And now with the increase in oil prices, it's just putting even more of a strain on people. It's putting more of a strain on, truck drivers as well. So how are they supposed to make their deliveries if they can't fill up their trucks? Everything is getting completely thrown out of whack. And ultimately, this is the judgment of the Lord. Luke 21:22, for these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. And in the scriptures, it says that there would be fires, storms, tempests, earthquakes, famines, division amongst the people, sedition amongst men, wars and rumors of wars, gross darkness. And this is what we're witnessing. We're witnessing all these things that are written in the scriptures playing out right before our eyes. And all the suffering that's going to come from these things is the vengeance of the Lord, ultimately being poured out upon the earth to punish the wicked people with whom the Lord is angry with. Salakia. Psalm 7:11. Yahweh judgeth the righteous, and Yahweh is angry with the wicked every day. And you see that. All the destruction that's being caused from these fire, in particular from these fires and these storms and tempests, schools getting damaged, people's homes getting damaged or destroyed, people's business getting damaged or destroyed, people's homes burning down, people getting wounded and killed in these fires. The strain and stress that people are experiencing from the increased price of everything. People's bills are increasing, their rent is increasing, grocery prices are increasing, gas prices are increasing, the cost of living in general is increasing. And even though those of us of the hopeful elect, we are experiencing some of that as well, overall we have faith that the Lord is going to make a way for us to continue to take care of ourselves and our families. So we're not stressing about it. We have faith that so long as we stay on this righteous path and we continue to first and foremost focus on serving the Lord fervently and diligently every day, that the Lord, He's going to continue to protect us and guide us and take care of us. But these wicked people with whom the Lord is angry with, they don't have that protection. They don't have that faith. They're putting all of their trust in man. They're putting all of their trust in particular in Esau, the so-called white man, to fix everything and to make it better. But he can't. Because first of all, he is the wicked. He was not designed to make things better. He was designed to make things worse. And second of all, the Lord does not want things to get better for these wicked people. Like it says in Isaiah 48:22, there is no peace, saith the Lord Yahweh, unto the wicked. So these wicked people, they're only going to suffer more. And even though those of us of the hopeful elect, seeing as we are in Jacob's trouble, it hasn't gone full blown yet, but we're clearly in the midst of it. Even though we are going to have to go through this as well and suffer a little bit as well, ultimately, we have faith that the Lord is going to bring us through it. So like I said earlier, we're not really worried about it. We just focus on, serving the Lord every day that He allows us to wake up and serve Him. 1 Peter 3:12, for the eyes of the Lord are over the righteous, and His ears are open unto their prayers. But the face of the Lord is against them that do evil. And that's right. The eyes of the Lord are over the righteous, and His ears are open unto their prayers. So those of us of the hopeful elect, daily sending up prayers to the Lord and asking Him to keep His hedge of protection over us and our loved ones, and asking Him to, keep a fervent and diligent spirit upon us in this faith, to keep us stable, to keep us patient, to keep the spirit of enduring within us. The Lord, He hears those prayers. His ears are open unto those prayers. It says, but the face of the Lord is against them that do evil. And majority of these people out here are evil. And they're wicked in the eyes of the Lord. And the Lord is against them. And that's why you see so many people, getting on social media and they're crying about how, the cost of living is too much. And they have to get 2 or 3 jobs, and even those 2 or 3 jobs, the money that comes from that still is not enough. People having to move back in with their family members. People can't afford to live on their own anymore. Like the Lord is really putting these wicked people through the ringer. And he's only going to apply more and more pressure onto these people, physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, because he is against these wicked people. Second Hezras 8 and 5. Salakia. For many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride. And I have the definition for great miseries here. And it says great miseries refers to a state of extreme unhappiness, profound suffering, or acute pain of the body or mind. It signifies deep distress resulting from poverty, misfortune, or severe circumstances, often describing widespread, intense, or long-lasting unhappiness. And that's what most people are experiencing. They're experiencing a state of extreme unhappiness, profound suffering, and acute pain of the body and mind. Like a lot of people, they have no relief from all the suffering that they're experiencing. People want to go out and party, but that costs money that they don't have. People want to drink. That costs money they don't have. People want to, buy weed or whatever type of drugs they use, but that costs money that they don't have. People want to go on vacation. Once again, costs money that they don't have. And that's crazy, because it's like, how do you have 3 jobs and altogether you still don't have enough money to do anything? You can just pay your bills and buy enough groceries to last you a couple of days, and maybe put some gas in your car. Not even a full tank. Like, people are really going through it out here. The Lord is really putting these people through the ringer. He's making them suffer because they're wicked. They're out here daily provoking the Lord unto wrath with their constant wickedness. And now they're suffering as a result of that. And the men of the Lord, starting of course with the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, have been warning these people that it was going to get like this at some point. But these wicked people, instead of taking heed to those warnings, they chose to scoff and scorn at the men of the Lord and disregard the warnings from the men of the Lord. And now look at what's happening. So, okay, before I get that, one second. James 4 and 9. Be afflicted and mourn and weep. Let your laughter be turned to mourning and your joy to heaviness. And that is exactly what these wicked people are experiencing. All the fun that they used to be able to have, they can't do it anymore. The going on multiple vacations, they can't do it anymore. The going out every weekend to the bars and the clubs, they can't afford to do that anymore. The buying drugs, they can't do it anymore, because they have to take what money they do have and they got to spend it on paying their bills, paying their rent, buying groceries, maybe buying some new clothes, trying to put gas in their car, And by the time they've done all of that, they don't have really anything left to play with. They don't have any disposable income. And a lot of people, they are mourning and they're weeping. And like I said, also, you have a lot more fires happening, a lot more people's homes getting damaged and destroyed by these fires. Or getting flooded out by these, these thunderstorms, these torrential rains, or completely annihilated by a tornado. Or you have it whereas people just, they can't afford the rent or they can't afford the bills, so they get kicked out of their home. People are just going through it in every possible aspect. Their laughter is being turned to mourning, and their joy is being turned to heaviness. People are not really laughing and having fun anymore. And that's because we are living in the last days. And these last days are going to continue to be full of many great miseries. Which once again refers to a state of extreme unhappiness, profound suffering, or acute pain of the body or mind. And people, more than anything, are mentally and financially going through it. And there's that old saying, desperate times call for desperate measures. And the more desperate people get, the more dangerous people become. So we're going to start seeing a lot more people committing crimes just to try to survive. People are going to start robbing stores, robbing each other, doing more home invasions for the lack of money, the lack of food, the lack of water. It's going to get a whole lot more dangerous out here because people are going to get a whole lot more desperate. And this is why those of us of the hopeful elect, we have to stay prayed up. Which brings me back to Luke 21:36. Watch ye therefore, and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass and to stand before the Son of Man. And that's what those of us of the hopeful elect are doing. Every day that the Lord allows us to wake up, we're watching the news. We're seeing what's going on in this country, which I live in the United States, and in the rest of the world. And we're praying, hoping that the Lord accounts us worthy to escape these things. To escape the civil wars and the race wars and the famines and the pestilences. And, we pray that the Lord does not send a tornado upon us or destroy our home in a fire or destroy our home in a flood. We pray that the Lord protects us when all hell breaks loose, particularly in this country, and people start doing home invasions more and kidnapping people more, and things just completely spiral and society just shuts down and chaos takes over. We're praying that the Lord, just keeps his hedge of protection over us and our loved ones, as well as all the sincere brothers and sisters and their loved ones as well. Because we want to be preserved. We want to endure unto the end and be saved. We don't want to get caught up in the vengeance of the Lord that's being poured out upon the earth and upon these wicked people with whom the Lord is angry with. We're doing what we're supposed to do to not anger the Lord. Because we see what happens to those whom the Lord is angry with. We see what he puts them through. We see the judgments that he pours out upon them, and we don't want any parts of that. We just want to focus on fervently and diligently serving the Lord to the best of our ability. And, Adawan Ratzazah, we have been chosen from the foundation of the world to endure unto the end and be saved. For the rest of these people, these wicked people who daily provoke the Lord unto wrath with their continual wickedness, we already know that they're going to continue to reap what they have sown in the form of the many great miseries from the Lord being brought upon them. A lot of these people, they're about to die, and they don't even know it. The Lord is going to pour out so much wrath upon them and make life just completely unbearable for them. A lot of people, they're going to unalive themselves, take themselves out of here. And then other people, they're going to die, whether it's from shootings or stabbings or car crashes or dying in a fire or drowning in a flood or dying in a tornado or getting torn apart by some wild animal or whatever other way the Lord decides he wants to take out these wicked people. So, like I read in James 4:9, all these people, these wicked people, all they can expect is to continue to experience affliction and mourning and weeping. All that fun and games, all that partying is going out the window. And it's being replaced with great suffering. And that is exactly what these wicked people deserve for anger in the Lord. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up here. In closing, I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakudash, the Wadi Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, for putting the Spirit on me to do this lesson. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honors to all the brothers who are fervently preaching the word in sincerity and in faith. Shalom to the sincere Akwath, which are the sincere sisters, and shalom to the scattered Israelites who are amongst these heathen nations and look like these heathens. I hope you all stay strong, stay safe, stay fervent, stay circumspect, stay prayed up, and Adawan Ratazah, which means Lord's will. Until next time, shalom.